Ah, hey up, everyone. That was a really Yorkshire. Ooh, went, yeah, deep Yorkshire there for some reason, but never mind. Oh, anyway, yes. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you all this fiery, very fine day? Oh, so there we go. Chthonic, aloha. Aloha to you as well, my friend. Say good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone else. Like I say, give you all a chance to, catch up. Kath OG, good morning to you. Whoop, there we go. Oh, like I say, give you all a chance to wake up and be refreshed. So I've had an espresso before I've set off this morning. David Walker, good morning to you. Good morning. Like I say, good morning, good morning, good morning as you all come in. Come on in, take a seat, pull up. Like I say, I think it's going to be a very, very nice morning today out here. Joe, good morning to you. Oh, hang on. This is the bad thing. Now it's getting close to summer. It gets hard to see the screen. Chickpea, good morning to you. Gregorio Zeverly, good morning to you. And like I say, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, one and all. And welcome once again to the Good Morning Walk. And we're going to obviously start talking about Northern Ireland in a bit, but I'm not going to lie, I can't be the only one like suffering from déjà vu. We seem to have done this song and dance, all over again. But before we get into that, I just want to again talk about some stuff that's been going on in Ukraine, because I think this is normally a chance to sort of quickly update people if you haven't been sort of following along. So very recently in Ukraine, the Ukrainians have been pulling off some spectacular, very, very, not big wins, but very successful strategical wins. In and around sort of the eastern city of Kherson, they've actually managed to push, not Kherson, Kharkiv, that's it, Kharkiv. Let me get it right, yeah. They've actually managed to push the Russians back towards the border, which is very, very good news, to be honest, that we've been hearing that. But this now also threatens the Donbass supply lines for the Russians. So Putin, last week we saw the big victory parade, and Ben Wallace came out and said that Putin was going to order a mass mobilization. And I think a lot of people were sort of expecting that to happen. I think we're quite surprised that it didn't. So I was expecting it to happen as well. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Of course, I don't know if you've seen the footage going around the past couple of days. The Russians attempted a crossing, and essentially they got absolutely ripped to shreds because the Ukrainians knew they were coming, because as has been very much a constant throughout all this conflict, they've been in their communications and known exactly what they were doing. And of course, one of the big things we've seen very recently, which is getting increasingly more interesting, but this isn't new, this is something we've seen building for quite a while, is that you've had Russian troops refusing to follow orders, which the more and more we hear this, gives an impression of just how demoralized and how, insubordinate is the Russian army at the moment. Are they having a complete and utter, organizational collapse in their ranks? Just what is going on over there? And, as I've said before, I don't think we'll ever hear sort of the full story about what was going on, certainly in on the Russian side, until at least well after the war. But needs to say, it's going to be very, very interesting to watch and see what happens there. Oh, ahoy! Someone there just saw that. But anyway, yes, good morning to all the other people joining us. Like I say, just a quick update about what's been going on in Ukraine. Ukraine are also probably going to win the Eurovision Song Contest tonight. So if you're watching the Eurovision contest tonight, then good luck. It's not something I ever really watch. Always something I like to dip in and out of. So it'll be quite interesting. Oh. But yes, the more and more we see this, it's like just what has gone on in this army, that a lot of experts prior to this invasion were like saying this is one of like the most, threatening armies, in the world. And to an extent, it is still a threatening army, given, of course, its numbers. But you wouldn't think so. The way that, shall we say, the way that a lot of experts have portrayed it versus how it's actually performing in the field at the moment. There's a big disconnect, on that. But anyway, yes. Anyway, now you're all here. Now you're all settled in. Can I seriously ask anyone else, as we move on to our main topic of the day? Like, is anyone else having like a serious issue of déjà vu with Northern Ireland? I certainly am. It feels like David Frost is the the minister in charge of Brexit negotiations again. Not only just that, it feels very, very similar to when we had, even David Davis, of all people, back in charge when he was the Brexit minister. Every time the situation around Northern Ireland comes up, it just feels exactly the same, as if nothing has changed. And really, the more you look at it, nothing really has changed. That's why I called today's Good Morning Walk the Deja Vu Walk, because it just really feels nothing has changed, except the DUP aren't the largest party in Northern Ireland. It's Sinn Féin now. Other than that, nothing's really changed. It's becoming a serious, episodic Groundhog Day almost. It really, really is. Yeah. Phil Watson, it's deja vu all over again. Yeah. Chthonic NI protocol turned me into a newt. FSM. I heard that it's because it's, quote, not a war that they can refuse to serve and just get fired. Oh, that's about Russia. That might be the case. Who knows? David, we all know what the DUP would do, indeed. The UK blames the EU for the Northern Ireland Protocol, so what's the difference? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As we've been seeing a lot this week, we were forced into signing the protocol. No, you weren't. It was a negotiation. You agreed to it. The protocol was a creation by the British. So honestly, I just lose complete sense of what even to say. You know, you negotiated this. This is what you told us you wanted, and then pushed it through Parliament with absolutely no scrutiny. You know. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much, John. Northern Ireland. Dull through the rain, the grim, dreary steps of Vermont, South Thoreau, Winston Churchill. But thank you very much for the super chat there. But yeah, what has changed? Nothing. I mean, you just can't fathom the sheer stupidity. And this is where, by the way, I've come up with this theory today. So feel free to say that this is like engaging in a conspiracy theory. But honestly, I feel that there's enough evidence and justification out there to support this, that what is going on at the moment is just part of the Brexiteer plan to essentially secure a no-deal Brexit so that they can blame it on the EU. Because remember, wind back the clocks all the way back to 2016. They were the ones who were going, at the referendum, oh, it's fine. We can stay in the single market and customs union. Only a fool would leave, only a fool would leave these things. They talked about remaining in these institutions. And, that a vote for leave was not about leaving these institutions. The UK would remain in them. And then, of course, post 2016, who was the group who pushed the hardest for Article 50 to be triggered? Well, it was the Brexiteers. These same group of people. Push. We can't allow for a single moment for, Parliament to stop and win. The surprise victory of the Leave campaign, it needs to be pushed on through. And then you get through to Theresa May, and you get sort of a quiet period. And then that quiet period goes on until at least until she does her famous Chequers speech, at least, laying out what, Brexit means Brexit, but what exactly does that mean? We need a little more information there, Theresa, of course. And they flipped out because Theresa May's Northern Ireland Protocol, at least her version of the protocol, would have at least seen, if there were problems like this, for all the UK to basically be in the customs union, which again would have meant no hard border in the Irish Sea, but it would have kept things going and moving through. But of course, you've got to remember, at that time, and especially around that time, this is when they were pushing for no deal. This was their big no deal push. A no deal is better than a bad deal. And, Theresa May's deal was a, quote, bad deal. But given the one we've got at the moment, May's version, certainly of the backstop, does seem like it would have been a damn sight better. I can tell you that now. So you have these, zealots pushing for this. And then, of course, because of Theresa May's 2017 general election, loses her majority, and it essentially gives the ERG, the European Research Group, more power. And again, they're able to push really hard, saying we want a no-deal Brexit. But then, of course, Parliament passes the bill saying that the UK will not leave with no deal, that it is irresponsible to leave without a deal, thus scuppering their plans to start, well, even push harder for a no-deal scenario and situation. Oh, well, Hatman, any comment about the Wakefield carve-up by Keith? Haven't heard about that. Is that the... I've heard there's some brouhaha about the selection going on, that, Labour hasn't put forward a local candidate. But other than that, that's all I've really heard about it. Which I think is rather foolish of them not to put forward a local candidate. But there's going to be a selection actually this weekend. We'll get to find out who is in the running for the Wakefield seat. Like I say, it makes huge sense for them to choose a local candidate. Like I say, you have, I think, one of the people high up in the council who said that he wanted to run for the seat, and it would have made more sense for you to put him forward as the candidate. Have a local candidate, But anyway, I'm sure we'll be doing a video later on this week about that. But yeah, anyway, back to my conspiracy theory. So they're now in a position where May is in a weakened position. They're still chomping at the bit for a no deal, but they've been scuppered by essentially a law saying that you can't have a no deal. So this puts them in a bit of a predicament, because there's Theresa May's deal on the table. There is significant push at that time for a second referendum. Yeah, that's why I've heard too, FSM, about the whole Wakefield scenario. The way I've seen it, I've seen that the National has sort of pushed for one of these candidates, and it obviously depends what these candidates are going to bring to the table. Like I say, you've got one who's a trade unionist, the other one's a nurse, and of course, at the end of the day, the selection and the vote for the local candidate will be carried out by the local Labour Party. So we'll see who gets selected. This weekend. I think it's today or tomorrow the vote happens for who does it. Yeah, and I agree. I sort of agree. Dropping the parachuting, as they call it, one of the these members into this constituency at this moment, where you really need like a local to run for it and have that local support, would have been fantastic, because I think it was that the previous Labour candidate was a Wakefielder, as they say. I think she was. I can't remember exactly now, but it would make sense. But I don't understand why they're doing it. I think, as you've just said, FSM, it does right. It does break the rules about it. It's annoying. Don't get me wrong. It's annoying. Yeah, it's super annoying, to say the least. It really is. But anyway, you're pulling me off track. I want to talk about our series of deja vus, because I want to work out this theory and see what you think to it all. So we've had that. So the Brexiteer zealots, after their surprise referendum win, pushed for Article 50, pushed for a no deal, hated the idea of Theresa May's backstop because it would keep the UK pretty much in the customs union. And of course, they wanted a no deal. They wanted out of the EU completely. And then, of course, this is where Boris Johnson comes in and goes, hey guys, put me in charge. I can get a better deal than Theresa May can. We'll just lie about, putting a border in the Irish Sea. We'll get the DUP on side. We'll get Theresa May out, and we'll put this deal that we all know is bad in, just so that later, because remember, even back during like the Theresa May years, you had David Davis coming out and saying, well, even if we do pass, Theresa May's deal, we can just amend the, the Northern Ireland Protocol like that, we'll just get it done. And of course, one of the big things that has been brought up this week is, I can't remember which EU leader it was. I think it was the Belgian Prime Minister came out and said, the people of the UK should actually be told what it is, they're doing about the Northern Ireland Protocol. And remember, I said it before on last week's, this Wednesday's live stream, what's, quote, wrong with the Northern Ireland Protocol? Because on all intents and purposes, it seems to be working. You've just had the local elections in Ireland, where essentially where you break down the numbers, more people voted in favour of parties that were for the protocol. But then again, this didn't stop them, of course, at the last, general election, where more people voted for parties for a second referendum than their party. But hey ho, that's just how politics works. And unfortunately, in our system of winner takes all, they were just allowed to just ignore that, of course. It's the will of the people is only convenient when it's doing what you want to do as well. And in fact, the other big reason I floated around as well is we've heard a lot about, the government have got legal backing for doing this. And as we heard from one of the experts last week, who just said, what on earth are they doing? They don't have a case to stand on. The case for trying to remove the protocol is a really high bar to remove. And remember, just a few weeks ago, we had a high court case about this, where several prominent Brexiteers decided they were going to go and take the government to court over this, to remove the Northern Ireland Protocol. And they lost. And they lost because, as the judge said, there was sort of no merit to their case. And now, in bizarrely shocking fashion, we are seeing the government use their exact same arguments, and then the defense will be ultimately be using is, hey guys, you still can't explain your way around the defense and how you defended this in the first place. Yeah, the more you think about this, the more you think about, the Northern Ireland Protocol, the more you realise like the worse deal that Boris did. Because I think this entire thing was essentially done by Boris and the Brexiteers in secret, so that they could get rid of the Northern Ireland Protocol whenever they wanted to, and essentially, well, hand themselves a no deal. And then they can just go, oh, it's not our fault. It's, oh, I don't know if you can see him. Little baby foal. But yeah, and I think this is what's really going on. I think this is part of the bigger Brexiteer plot, shall we say, to essentially get rid not only of the Northern Ireland Protocol, but also Boris's own deal, so that they can finally have their much sought after no deal Brexit. Because remember, they can't implement a no deal Brexit. Like, if they were to seriously go for a no deal Brexit, they'd get absolutely hammered for it in Parliament and afterwards. But if they can set up a situation by where they can have a no deal Brexit, then I think they will. I think this is what we see, from them. Oh. There's a fall behind there. There we go. Oh, hello. There you go. Oh, good morning to you. They're still very shy at that age. Like I say, they're still very shy. And like I say, that foal's probably only a couple of weeks old. But yeah, this entire setup and scenario, and I think even Boris Johnson's own deal was set up on purpose so that the Brexiteers could finally, achieve their no deal Brexit. I seriously think that's what's going on. That's what they were after. What's this? Michael Mayo. Northern Ireland, its new political architecture now. It now poses a problem for the Tories. After all, they now enjoy the best of both worlds, and Brexit, as of now, stands as a benefit to them, and the Tories didn't intend. Yeah, very true. You look at all the data coming out from like Northern Ireland, economically, it is performing far, far better than any other region in the UK. FSM, the Tories needed to ensure that Northern Ireland doesn't look too good, otherwise the rest of the UK will want the same. Exactly. This is it. They never wanted this in the first place. Otherwise, you've got this test case of, we've got this one area in the UK that is in like the single market and customs union, and economically is outperforming every single other area of the UK. Doesn't look good, and if anything, can act as an even bigger rallying cry just to show how bad Brexit was. One of the interesting things that, just to bring it back to Wakefield, just for a couple of seconds, one of the interesting things from, of course, the Wakefield that we are seeing is this Brexit regret that people are having. How big a fact that plays into the by-election could be interesting. And as I said, if there's any members of, Leads for Europe watching, you need to get out there and start hammering that case home that Brexit has been a disaster. Because I guarantee you, there's that could work massively in your favor at the moment. So if you are a member of that group, please do get out there and start hammering home that message that Brexit hasn't worked, not only for Wakefield, but the rest of the UK as well. Anyway, Kevin Harkley. I'm in the Republic of Ireland, and my generation don't care about a united Ireland. We vote with our wallets, not with faded patriotic ideas. The UK can keep the North and fund it. Yeah. This is what I actually say a lot about Kevin. Kevin. This is what a lot of people don't understand. While there is a sort of symbolic nature of, reuniting Ireland and bringing sort of Northern Ireland back into the fold, it isn't actually a massive political movement that people would actually think about. It's not really that big. And if there was a border poll, you could have a big situation where the North might vote to reunite, but the South, or at least the Republic of Ireland, would potentially vote to reject it. Because as I've said a lot before, and a lot of people don't seem to understand, just because, North of Ireland reunites with Ireland, or, the North reunites with the Republic, that causes a whole lot of problems. Because the DUP aren't going to go away, the Unionists aren't going to go away. Most of the violence that we have seen in the past, 2 or 3 years, has been Unionist violence. Not only that, the DUP could very, very well likely cause a lot of trouble in your parliament, because they would be not a major political force, but they would be significant enough in number to cause some interesting issues. And of course, the DUP heavily, heavily religious, which means that they could certainly unite with other religious members of your sort of the parliament, and how sort of that all works, could cause some huge problems for the Republic of Ireland. So there's this case of wanting a reunited Ireland, there's an even bigger case for not wanting a reunited Ireland, and a lot of people don't understand that, especially over here in the UK. How much press does the relatively good situation, economically speaking, in Northern Ireland get? We've had a couple of stories this week, but I haven't been able to cover them because other stuff's happened, Yeah, you got to mention, yeah. But yeah, the situation over there is going to go from bad to worse this week, because the DUP have so far said they are not going to rejoin into a power sharing option unless there is significant changes with the protocol. And the EU has come forward and said, well, here's our suggestion, so how to make things better. And it's just been rejected outright. And there's, with just responses from the saying, oh, this is inflaming, sectarian tensions. Well, the only people whipping up sectarian tensions are the DUP and the Tories in an attempt to try and really use this. And of course, there's even a more worrying spectre in all of this, that if you wind back the clock even further, back to when this was all really at its height, and we were having a very, very stuck parliament who were pretty much trying to find out which version of Brexit they wanted. One of the bizarre things that came out from certainly the ERG and the Brexiteer zealots was the idea that they could also force the Republic of Ireland out of, the EU as well. Remember that was a serious thing that people like Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nigel Farage were pushing at the time. That, oh yeah, if we can just push Northern Ireland out of the EU as well, this is it. And this is there's so much that these guys have said over the past couple of years that they just doesn't get reported, or the craziness that is just so beyond words to believe. I mean, the idea that the UK could force another country, out of the European Union, very much against their will, is absolutely nutso. What are they on about? What are they on about this? It's bananas. It really is. Nope. Chthonic, can't the legislative body, the Northern Ireland Assembly, can't it proceed without the DUP? No, it can't. Because Northern Ireland operates as a power sharing agreement, the DUP have to nominate. There we go. They have to nominate someone as a deputy, and they very much can. And what could potentially happen is we could see the DUP just say we're not going to nominate anyone unless we get our way. And then what could potentially happen is that you end up with another election, because that's sort of how this works. And the only way to get rid of the DUP would be if Alliance or another party could hopefully come back in and knock the DUP out of second place. That's the only way you can get rid of the DUP. Or if the DUP maybe even go back into the position of first place, which I think is what they're hoping for. But again, given the polls, doesn't look likely. And even then, if they do sort of come back into the first place, there's still very much the threat of, well, we are not going to re-enter into this agreement with you because of the Northern Ireland Protocol. So bear in mind, the DUP are set just to go, here's a crisis, here's a crisis, here's a crisis, and just literally just keep on riding this roller coaster. Bakura, it just shows the arrogance of people who think they have much authority over another country to take them out of the EU. Yeah, it does. Part of the whole Brexiteer mindset is that everyone else hates the EU just as much as they do. When they're not, they're in a massive, massive minority in this. If they had put forward, if they had actually been serious at the referendum and put forward the situation we are in now as their, this is what leave means, and not run the massive gambit, because every time this comes up, I always bring up, of course, the infamous words of Daniel, the brain of Brexit, Hanan, the man who was put forward as, if you've got a question about Brexit, then Dan's the man with the answer. And in a live TV interview, when asked, I can't remember exactly how this came up, but you get the Remain person who was on with him saying, look, a vote to leave means a vote to leave the customs union and single market as well. Oh, hang on, Catho. Oh, gee. Why don't the DUP list specific things not working under the protocol and get Trust to investigate triggering Article 16 the way it was intended? Because they don't want just to alter the protocol. They want to get rid of it completely. And the Brexiteers and people like Liz Truss and the other Brexiteer zealots are very much with them in that idea. They just want to have a no-deal Brexit. They are very, very kind and have been very, very clear. They just want to completely rip up any and all deals with the EU and just as they say, have a quote clean break, as no deal was framed at that time. Oh, Harchi, good morning to you. So, and his response to that was, well, that's not what we're talking about at all. Only a fool would leave the single market and customs union. And yet you can go and find Daniel Hannan talking about how good it was to leave the single market customs union, because after the referendum, they were very clear. They wanted a no-deal Brexit. Bakura, just realised that England has never changed since the Empire. First, the petition of India. Now they want to petition Ireland. Well, it's already technically petitioned, but yeah, it's the whole situation. Like I say, the more you look at this, the more you realise what on earth are these guys thinking? What on earth are they doing? And yeah, you are right, FSM. It's not rational thought. It's not actual, concrete ideas about not just Brexit. It's fantasy ideological thinking of the whole idea of that if we leave, the EU, Britain's this secret trading nation that is this ultimate superpower, and if we, go back and engage in a true free market philosophy, we just reduce all our tariffs to zero and everything will be wonderful and amazing again. That's not what's going to happen, That's not how international trade works, We've even seen very recently, of course, one of the ideas to relieve the cost of living crisis put forward by the Brexiteers was to just have cows was just to have just to lower the food tariff to zero. That was one of their ideas, but that won't that's not how that works. That's not how that works. If you put a tariff to zero, then this sort of undermines your entire arguments for doing free trade deals, because the very thing and arguments and leverage you have in a free trade deal is let's lower tariffs for you and I together. So the very idea you would just go in and just go, we're lowering tariffs. Oh no. That's not how it works. You could cause some serious friction, because remember, New Zealand and Australia have just done a trade deal. They could very easily demand that, if you've lowered the food tariff to zero, well, then we get food tariffs to zero as well. And they could take us to court in the World Trade Organization, and they would win because, again, of equivalency. And then the 15-year doom clock that has basically been put on them, on the farmers in the UK, then suddenly becomes zero, and all that really, really cheap meat from Australia floods into the market, destroys domestic production, and then, of course, bang, go the UK small farms, probably followed by the mid. Maybe even a few large farms do manage to survive, but it's doubtable to see how long they might survive. And then boom goes the UK's agricultural industry, probably that gets sold off to potential foreign interests. This is it. This is the sheer madness that we're engaged in over this. Hold on, I'm just walking to the shade. I can read some of your comments. There we go. It's better. It's the thing when you're walking through woods like that, just like bleh, cobwebs all over the place. Anyway, where were we? RG, hi all, thank European. Well, hello to you, RC. Yeah, British border and Ireland was temporary. It was never meant to be an international border. Time's up for Northern Ireland. Yeah. Yeah, I guess Sinn Féin are choosing not to interrupt the DUP as they make mistakes. Yeah, oh yeah. The DUP are just going to let them make mistakes after mistakes because it works in their favour. If they are seen as the ones you're being the obstructionist about, Northern Ireland progressing forward when, all this happens. And really what Sinn Féin needs to do here is they need to come up with their own voting bloc alliance to basically defeat the DUP. That's what they need to do. Whether they will move forward with that and do it, you don't know, of course, but it'd be certainly interesting to see them try that. Sort of Viking. Yep, the next big change will have to be a renegotiation of the Good Friday Agreement to allow, quote, other to be a valid social division in Northern Ireland politically. Alliance are pushing for this. US too, it seems. I didn't know that, but that would be. I do not think that the Good Friday Agreement at this moment in time is a good thing to start messing with. We've already got problems with the Northern Ireland Protocol. The last thing we want to start messing with, or at least any other country wants to start messing with, is the Good Friday Agreement, at least certainly at this point. Solo's completely false statements on Question Time. I heard she was on Question Time. I haven't seen her appearance on it. That's the government response. Just lie. Exactly right. Sinn Féin would be seen as the sensible. The DUP would be seen as the loonies. Yeah, exactly. That's why there needs to be sort of that political alliance to sort of get rid of the DUP. That will be interesting to see how all that goes. I'll see. Sinn Féin don't have much of leverage at the moment on the British government. This will probably change when we have a Sinn Féin Taoiseach, which is obviously the name for the Irish Prime Minister. Yeah, when the truth is too horrid, lies is all you have. Very true. Cobwebs whoops out for Sheila. Son of Viking Ball Hat Man. That will not be legal under the Good Friday Agreement. Sinn Féin cannot make a bloc with other. No one can. Yeah, if that's the case, then it's sort of difficult to see how you would sort of eliminate the DUP as being sort of the second largest party, because they need to sort of be pushed back into third place, and another bloc needs to take over and sort of take power, so to say, sort of to shove them out of it. Again, how they would achieve that, if that's true under the Good Friday Agreement, then it's sort of difficult to see how they achieve that. But maybe because of the way the DUP are acting at the moment, there's a chance that voters in Northern Ireland might give them the boot. Maybe. We'll have to see. It's Hobbit. Yeah, when your foes are making mistakes, don't interrupt them. Very true. Mickey D. The DUP are zealots who are nothing more than a throwback from the days of Empire. Someone needs to explain the fact that the Empire is voluntarily dead. Very true. Uncle Sam will have a lot to say about the engaging of the peace of Northern Ireland. Very true. They've had a lot to say very recently. We've had that letter of Congress from 2 congressmen. They've also sent over a congressional diplomats as well. So yeah, things are moving very quickly over there for sure. The lies, yeah, the lying seems to be going well. Biden will have to jump in and kick some DUP butt, potentially. Yeah, that's very true. Will he be willing to do this? Of course, at the moment, we'll have to see. Like I say, and doing this at this moment in time. So, yeah. Ben, so how is Brexit going for everyone so far? not very well at the moment. But like I say, back to my earlier hypothesis, I think all this is just to try and get a no-deal Brexit. I really do think this is what their objective is. You know, you cause enough trouble, or you basically just go, look, any deal with involving Northern Ireland is a non-starter. We just all the UK just has to leave together, and we quote just have to accept that there's a no deal. And of course, as we've said before, very likely if we did, if Liz Truss did tear up the Northern Ireland Protocol, it is very, very likely that, well, they would just rip up all the protocol. They would start imposing checks, start slowing down things on their end, which would cause massive problems for us over here. I talked about yesterday about, obviously, when Trump was in, the EU put targeted tariffs on like swing state Republican seats. It's very likely they could do a similar thing targeting swing seats over here. We just don't know. That's the worrying thing. And part of me wants to think this is just some serious saber rattling. This is just an attempt to try and cover up Partygate, to start and try and get people thinking about something else besides Partygate after now 100 fines have now been handed out. And again, we're still waiting, of course, on the Sue Gray report. But she said she's not going to release that until at least after the police have finished with their stuff. So as long as the police are still sort of investigating and doing stuff, we're not going to see the Sue Gray report yet. But that will also, I think, be yet another stab into Johnson. And as we've said before, it's not just about getting those letters in, it's that vote, that secret ballot that comes after, which is just as Johnson is just as likely to win as he is to lose. It is literally 50-50 on a knife edge to say which way, shall we say, the wind blows over Johnson. Johnson's made it very clear that he is indeed the guy to lead them into the next general election. So he's made it very, very clear he is staying. He isn't going anywhere. So, yeah, unless, and bear in mind, if there is this, what has been talked about, a snap general election this autumn, which Johnson might do, again, in an attempt to try and sort of, save himself, he may very well call one. There's three options, of course, that can happen. The Conservatives manage to stay in, but with a very, very much reduced majority. You either get a hung parliament where potentially Labour and the Lib Dems form a coalition, or you get a Labour minority government propped up and backed up by certainly the Lib Dems and by the Greens, probably with a confidence condition like we've seen in Canada very recently, which would be very interesting, to say the least. So there we go. There we go. through. There we go. Haggashant, as you spoke at RE Wakefield, mass quitting it all. I've mentioned it very recently. I know there's stuff going on in Wakefield, and it's so annoying. To be honest, that it's happening. I think they're being really stupid about not putting forward, a local candidate. I think that's really dumb, especially of Labour to do. The National Committee have said that it's something to do with like the rules and on committee and selection are not clear, and they've got like legal advice that's backing them up, saying, yeah, the rules are sort of not clear on this about how you sort of do a selection during a by-election, which it is not a general election, and I think it's very dumb. And even if there are people like quitting, en masse, I've said this before. It's not at the moment. All these people that are quitting are being painted as, oh, these are just upset Corbynites. Ignore them. As I've said before, you can do far, far more if you are inside the party than if you are on the outside. So I understand a lot of people's position about, being upset about not getting a local candidate. I understand that. I'd be upset as well if it was happening in Barnsley. But at this moment in time, big picture, Labour winning that seat would send a far, far stronger message to, that the Conservatives are in trouble than anything else. And everyone agrees the Conservatives are in trouble. So Labour has to win. There is no other party there that can win. The Greens aren't suddenly going to come sailing out of, out of fourth place in Wakefield to take that seat. Neither are the Lib Dems. It very much has to be a Labour victory. And as I've said before, you've got to be pragmatic about some of these things sometimes. And yes, I agree, it's dumb. I can't believe, that they're doing this. But unfortunately, that's the way things happen sometimes. And it's far easier to make your voice heard with inside the party or disapproval on this than you can anything else. So, while I am... And I agree, being upset about that, it's, it's annoying. I agree with you on that. Nope. Morning. But yes, here we are at the end of our good morning walk today. Like I say, thank you one and all for joining me today. Like I say, please do remember to hit that like and share button on your way out. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off link called Buy Me Coffee. We can well buy me coffee. And yes, thank you all for joining me today. It's been another very fun good morning walk. I will be, by the way, tomorrow, just to let you know, I will be on the Sunday brunch tomorrow, along with Max, Political X, and a guy called, David... I've forgotten his second name now, but yes, he's a trade expert. So it'll be very interesting having an opportunity to sort of talk to him and sort of ask him some questions. So come over to Max's channel tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I think it is. It all kicks off tomorrow for the Sunday brunch. So I will either see you all tomorrow on Max's channel for the Sunday brunch, or again, I will see you on Wednesday for our little Wednesday live stream, or I will see you next weekend for another good morning walk, or I will see you at some point during the week with one of my videos. So like I say, do remember to hit that like and share button on your way out. And if it is your first time here and you've liked what you've seen, click on that subscribe button. And of course, yes, as Penny Bird's saying, after we do finish, please do drop a regular chat in the notifications down below once I finish the stream. Like I say, that helps feed the algorithm, as they say. So as always, have an absolutely super fantastic, smashing great weekend. As always, they say, if you can't be safe, be sensible, and we'll see you all either tomorrow or next weekend for another good morning walk.